idea here is premised on the statement in many, many locations of being ourselves reality. The seeker is the thought. Can you hear me still? What's looking is what you're looking for. That sort of changes if there was going to be any direction or any way to move towards that. Any movement would be sort of a mistake because you are that. Yeah. You can't say this about anything else because anything else is anything else, but you are what you're looking for. So the thing that worked with me, I came into meetings, not satsangs. I heard people, I read a book, Ramesh Balsekar's book, Who Cares, which I liked a lot. Heard some people I liked more than others. But the way I heard the message was just the way I heard every other message. Yeah, until I started to read from Ramana Maharshi and other people, a guy named Wei Wu Wei, about the negation of the subject, not trying to feed the false subject ideas about the absolute subject, but a negation of the subject, not a denial of it, which would be a response or a reaction the mental state has to something that feels so real, it doesn't want it to be real, so it denies it. This is a negation which denies the reality of it. Yeah, it doesn't want to try to disguise the reality to make it seem more palatable, but it just negates the reality of it. Yeah, not bad. And at that point, that which you were looking for is seen as what's looking. Yeah. So it's like an immediate verification. It's almost as if you shouted in the mountains and you waited a second for a yodel or an echo. This one, it's immediate. So there's a sense, and now that sense, this is a thing, that sense of being a lion gets, and you are a lion, gets surrounded by the programming of being a sheep. Yeah. So the lion idea, and it can be just subtly changed, which makes all the difference in the world. Instead of the recognition you are a lion, you now have a sense you experience being a lion. Yeah, as a sheep. And therefore that triggers a sense of seeking more from the sheep's point of view. So now the sheep, AKA the sheep, AKA the lion, sets out to have more experiences of being a lion as a sheep. Yeah, all the while being the lion. Now, if you've gone through that example, when it's illuminated, you may feel it. Yeah, you may feel you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. When you hear that, you may feel it. There'll be a sense, oh, that was what's actually been going on. Or the idea you can't get out of an imaginary place. Wait a minute. You know, there was always the given that it was a real experience or a real thing or a real event or a real place that I wanted to escape from. Now the escapes and the methodologies would change, but the premise was always the same. I'm in something I want to get out of. Now this whole message is about you're not in that something. So the getting out of it becomes that which used to be the solution is seen as like a tentacle of the obscuration. Yes, you see, you're seeking to get out as giving a sense of reality. What? How could that be? Well, being ourselves reality. So being ourselves reality, we can get the sense of reality to a lot of things. So if you convince us of something, we may give reality only to things. Yes, Katie? We may give reality only to things. So even the idea of no thing will be framed as a thing. Because it can't help it. You choosing not to frame it as a thing doesn't mean it isn't framed as a thing. the programming, there isn't a you that's in the programming. There's a programming of a you. So the programming of a you gets the idea that it's not a you, and it attempts not to be a you as a you. So what usually flips you out is when it fails, and then you just switch channels. Yeah. So it's just like music. You listen to classical music, that doesn't do it. Then you get to progressive rock or something. But basically, that's not what the problem is. It's not, the thing is, it's the one that wants to hear the song is the obscuring of the real song. Yeah. That's the fundamental, hopefully, where you're in a truck and you're stuck in that sand or the dirt or the mud and you can't get out. You're going, that's an incredible point. Yeah. You realize you're stuck. Yeah. It's beautiful, because maybe at that moment there's a disarming, and you've heard satsang, you've heard non-duality. You're not a hearer of it, you actually heard it. It went somewhere, and when those examples that you thought were arcane, metaphysical sort of things, when they become practical examples of what's been going on, and when they connect the understanding of it and the example of it, there's something happens. There can be a whack, yeah. There can be a pause. There can be a sudden intervention, yeah. And then a lot's revealed in that no moment, yeah. Because you have it, you have all the evidence. Just like in recovery, I didn't become an addict the day I went to recovery. I obviously was an addict, seemingly, for years, in a state of not wanting to know that. So the facts were the facts 20 years before I finally got aligned with the facts. There was a denial of those facts, and there was a fight arguing with those facts and not wanting those things to be facts, and you lose, basically. And then the same facts were there, and then suddenly they were seen to be true, they were aligned with, and then life got a whole lot different. Yeah. So in other words, instead of swimming against the current, I was starting to swim with the current. I get to see a whole lot more when I'm swimming with the current, when I'm not swimming against it. Yeah. And there's no you, I'm talking about whatever, mind. Yes. So this idea of being ourselves reality, the greatest mystery is reality, AKA Tommy and Paul, and not us, but what we represent, being reality, wanting to attain reality. Now, I believe most of us, that's landed at one point. Yeah. And maybe we thought it took off quickly, but something got unloaded. Yeah, it does. And then one day you'll be listening to satsang, and then suddenly that package will appear, and that understanding will hit, and there'll be a being convinced. Yeah. And the being convinced, there isn't any one being convinced. There's a being convinced you're not a one. Yeah. Not a you. There's no ownership of the being convinced, but a clarity comes, and then something dries up. Yes. It's not being fed anymore. Yeah. Obviously, that creek water isn't creek water. It's being fed by something else, and then being fed by when it runs off from the mountains or the hills. Yeah. That the momentum isn't produced by the creek. The creek isn't creaking it out. Yeah. The creek is just a way of it expressing itself. Yeah. So this is the point. There's being convinced, and that interest and attention that was constantly feeding the mouths of those tributaries loses interest and attention on that. Yeah. And it may not even lose interest and attention on that. It lose interest and attention in the activity of feeding it. Yeah. It loses interest in you. And then suddenly it starts drying up. And then you see the role you are here. You give everything all the meaning it has. If you want to change something, which would be the most efficient way to look? The something or you? And if you realize you changing you doesn't really change you. It changes, it's like changing the outfit constantly, but the emperor still has no clothes. So, yeah, so you come to these reckonings or these understandings, and then some of them you stop there. You don't go to the next one as if you're collecting understanding with the idea that if I collect enough understanding, it's going to grow into something. No, the understanding has a purpose to realize all the misunderstandings life was based on from this point of view. Yeah. And you see the futility of something, not from it. Yeah. You're outside the system that is failed. You are not a failed system. You're outside of it. That is failed. The fact is, it's a failed system, but when you're looking from it, it's just another form of berating, this idea of view. When you're looking from outside of it, there's fucking some compassion, but recognition. Yeah, it's like a little square in this Zoom, but it's not the square of the Zoom. If you see a Zoom on an iPad, there's 16 little squares and a bigger square. Yeah. Let's say the 16 little squares would be a myopic view of self-centeredness. Yeah. And all the while these 16 little squares were seemingly activated, there was a larger square, which would be the panoramic view, which was seeing the 16th view. Each view is seeing maybe 15 other views, but not seeing its view. I'm different than all the other views I'm seeing. But from the panoramic view, you see all the views, 16 of them. Yeah. Yeah. Though not one of them seeing that. How you get a sense of that is by seeing all the individual Zooms as not the Zoom. Yeah. So when you see not this, not this, not that, not this, this, yes. I wish it could go into this. It doesn't seem to work that way because we're a part of not this. And so when we try to go to this, it's more duality. It's the not this is emphasized, yeah, with the pursuit of this. But when you see not that, you find out this, yeah. And there's not another leap in that frog. It just leaps there, and that's that. Yeah, in a way. And then maybe you go to satsang to reinforce the ideas, whatever. Maybe a day like this is quite powerful to reinforce it. Yeah. You know, all these things happen. And instead of constantly feeding this activity based on what's not happening, it's now being expressed as an awakeness now. Not saying that there wasn't an awakeness, but now it's obvious here. In this world of duality where you can be awake and not seem to be awake. That's amazing, isn't it? But not seeming to be awake does not mean you're not awake. It just means it's appearing that you're seemingly not awake. That's all. But what is it appearing in? Awakeness. You can't get away from it. What you do doesn't negate it. Because it's like, it's the context. So the context is awakeness, and in duality, you can seem like you're awake or you can seem like you're not awake, but it doesn't change the fact that you're awake. So what would override the seeming? Does the seeming override the fact? Only if it's taken to be a fact. If the seeming is taken to be a fact by the fact, it can seem to override the fact. Yeah, but if you see the seemingly isn't a fact, what happens? It doesn't have the ability anymore because it was the fact that gave it the ability. The fact taking itself to be a seeming fact gave the ability to that seeming fact to override the fact. Sounds crazy, but you get the sense of it, yeah? Yeah, so now, instead of looking at the fact from the seeming fact, you see the seeming fact from the fact. Yeah, the horse is in front of the cart, and it's not like hallelujah. It's just basically it's always been this way, really. I remember a time I got a sample. I was in at the hospital and some things were going on. And then something stopped and was like, everything I sought or wanted or desired was surpassed by like a little quintessential essence of nectar or something. I just felt super unbelievable. And the first thing the head said was, it's always been this way. Not the feeling, but the state underlying it. Yeah. It wasn't the top of a set of building blocks. The building blocks had nothing to do with it. This was what was underneath all the building blocks. Yeah. Did it take hold? Probably not. Did it never not have hold? No, it was always holding. Now in the seeming world, it appeared it wasn't. Yeah. But did that make it so? No, it can make it seem to be so for how long? 70 years, 80 years? Is that truly a giant trick that something seems not to be true for 70 years? And then you can move on and pass away and there you go. It's like you never happened. It happens every night. It happens every night. There has to be a you to have a body. When the sense of you is gone at deep sleep, yeah, there is a body there, breathing, yeah, but there's no experience of being a body at all. Yet there's an appearance of it. What happens in the morning when the head wakes up, Paul seems to show up, and now Paul is the body for all intents and purposes, yes? And then Paul's trying to get more cushions or do something else, call a chiropractor, do that, to get some relief from the body. Yeah, because here in the experiential realm, if my hips aren't working, I'm not getting to the end of the yard. Unless I have some of my devoted followers carry me, which means it's not going to happen. I'd end up having to carry them, most of them. So, yeah, so let's pass on that one. So this is a simple message, really. It hit me. It first tickled, and therefore I followed through. I read more, saw some more people. And then it basically floored me in a sense. And for all intents and purposes, that was that. Did it change anything? It changed wanting to know if it changed anything. That's what it changed over time. I wasn't checking in to see how good I was doing, like that old song. I just checked in to see what condition my inherent condition was in. Having an inherent condition really gives you a lot of leeway for how much interest is going to go in your appearing conditions. Seriously, yes? Because ultimately, even though the greatest experience I ever had, I can't grab now, they're not there. Yeah. The things I most sought for have come and gone. Yeah. Yet, what is always here at all times? So I do feel you can, as an action figure, it's almost like a trickle-down economy. When the head changes, the information changes and the emphasis in life shifts. Yeah. So the head isn't the center of the universe anymore, the body. The thoughts that are constantly rotating around this idea of Paul, they lose their velocity because you're the one that's moving the stars. Yeah. They just start slowing up. And then there was 9 moons. Now there's 2 moons. It's just dropping off as time goes. Yeah. And then when you look at the planet Paul, you don't see, there's no topography. It's just, you see through it a lot. It's more like a bubble with a huge reflection, the one we're projecting on it. So there's just a piece there. Yeah. There's a piece here. And yeah. So I feel a lot of times, I believe the evidence is all in all of us. Yeah. And it just needs an understanding for it to trigger in a certain way. Yeah. That aha won't be an experience or a moment of phenomena, but there'll be a recognition. Yeah. Yeah. And then a lot of shit slows up, and here you are. And then some obvious facts become facts. Like the idea of trying to get into the moment is an insane idea if you can't be out of it, right? Isn't it? You have to believe you could be out of a moment to invest so much effort to try to get into the moment. What happens when you see you're not hey, oh, there's Joe. Nice to see you, man. A new person.
Yeah.
I saw you in a whole new light just then, that second. Wow, that was awesome. I hope it's like a Hallmark card when we're 30 years together, just that second. Ah, there's the love. You don't know really what's going to happen when you're here. You find out. It's pretty good. Yeah. And then a lot of stuff that you read and you felt, yeah, that sort of sounds good, gets verified. Yeah. Like Jesus says, you don't know the tree by its fruits. You know the tree by its fruits. Yeah. And that's the thing. I sat in non-duality. I felt it was like a knowledge before knowledge, really, like an unspoken yes. And something somewhere put the money down on Black 38, and then the life of roulette. I always keep making the same bet. Black 38. I haven't, and you win when you lose, and you lose when you win, but you always win. Yeah, yeah. And it's been years. So, and I would think if it didn't work, I would have been looking for something else. Yeah. But I came to this by realizing nothing works. I just read a book I shouldn't have, probably, because I've been laying low. I read some things from talks of Ramana where, the people are practicing and fucking going through 30 levels of deep mental grooves, and there's very little chance you're going to succeed. You're never going to get over these hills. I'm like, fucking, wow, that's way too much. I just want to have a sense of ease and comfort, and I can't produce it.
Horror story.
Yeah, I know. It used to scare the shit out of me. Basically, it's just like Catholicism. They saddle you with the original sin. You don't even remember, what did I do? But you did something terrible. Okay, so you're going to have to dig yourself out of a hole for 30 years. This is just, I don't know. If you're wanting to become a spiritual giant, go ahead. This is just pauses everything, lets things rearrange, presents a possibility of being content and satisfied now, and gives you the possibility that that's some sense that satisfaction, contentment is implying something else, that you can outshine circumstances and situations instead of having to be outshined by everything else. Yeah. Simple recognition. And then see, where do you want, maybe you want to climb a mountain because you think something's up there. When you realize there's nothing up there and you still want to climb a mountain, great. But in my case, I didn't want to climb the mountain to begin with. So when I realized there was nothing up there, it was like, this is great news, because I really didn't want to do it. I'd rather not. So, yes, we're here in this lovely place. And if this isn't conducive, I don't know what is. Yes, really. Yeah. I mean, seriously. And yeah, so it may work other ways. I don't know. There was no one who I mostly sat with. I sat with a number of people. I don't know if I want to give too many names. I was moved to see Ramesh.
Did you start in Neo? You never went to classic advisor?
Yeah, just to this. Yes. Because the Advaita to me is more of a way, yes, where the non-duality is just a negation, which just worked with me. And I went to Ramesh's book moved me, and so I went to see him in India. And then when I was there, I went to see where Ramana Maharshi lived, and then there was a lot of people from around the world gave talks there in January. And the funny thing, it was very weird because I was going to stay, and a lot of these people, I saw them on videos and they always had pictures of Ramana. So I went to the Ramana Maharshi ashram to stay, and the first question the guy who ran the ashram asked me, "Are you going to go to these outside satsangs?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "You can't stay here." I said, "Wow." I mean, they're all having pictures of Ramana while they're talking. So you can't stay here. So I had to find another ashram to move in. So I went to see some people there. The first lady I ever heard was a lady Neelam from Eastern Europe. She spoke very low, and it was in a park in Berkeley. I didn't hear anything she said. It didn't matter though. There was some feeling there, yeah. And then I read some books, and then I went to satsangs, and there was something that I was sensing, this idea of, which is explained by Ramana, that there's this presupposing, and it's not you presupposing. There's a presupposing of a non-existent thing, which is the head, I feel. The mental state uses the contact through consciousness to say there's a one that's in contact. And that one who's in contact is represented in all of the reinforcement of that idea as a body, yeah? And so the presupposing of the non-existent thing would be the body being existing, yes? You follow it. Presupposing, pre has something to do with time, yeah? So this is different than assuming a store was open and then driving there and realizing they're closed. It's assuming a store is open, driving there, realizing it's closed, and still believing the stores were open. Yeah, so there's a denial of the fact that the store is closed because there's a presupposing the store is open. Even when there's evidence the store is closed, it's still presupposed to be open. So the head presupposes this idea of being a non-existent thing. And what would a non-existent thing be? What would it be? No, a non-existent thing would be a thing, an empty thing. Yeah, it would be the existence that moves the thing. Yeah. So when the thing is moved, let's say by existence, and the head says that existence is an attribute of the thing that's being moved, you would believe that's a mistaken starting point. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a presupposing of a non-existent thing, wanting to get salvation for the non-existent thing. So the non-existent thing has to be seen as existing to basically seek salvation for it. Yes, obviously, because there would already be an inherently built salvation from a non-existent thing because it doesn't exist. Yeah, you see? So the existence, let's call it that, is mistaken to be an attribute of the thing when the thing isn't what is existing. It's a non-existing thing. Yeah. Existence is appearing through it, but the head says that which is appearing through it is an attribute of the appearance. Yeah. So that sets off a starting point. And if this starting point is in place, and the way he spoke about it, he's assuming it is, that your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing, how can they destroy it? So this is so the whole point is, let's look at the thing, yeah, that's non-existent. And maybe by seeing that which keeps yapping, that is the thing that's existing, maybe by realizing you're not that mental thing, the existence will be placed first and the thing will be placed after, instead of the thing first and existence after. Yeah. And maybe if you could see life from existence first, not the thing, you may see life differently. And that which the thing can produce, which is traveling lighter, you may express. Yeah. That the thing cannot produce the traveling lighter. It's so driven to to arrive at, but maybe it could express the traveling lighter. Yeah. So this is the whole point. What non-duality does is negate the duality of that existent and non-existent thing.
So how are you finding existence then?
That thing, that which animates. Yeah. That which is on, existence. Yes. Not appearance, existence. So what's driving appearances is existence. Yes. There's something that can allow things to be seen as real. Existence, the I am, the onness. Yeah, the basis sense, where the sense of Paul is derived at is the sense of onness. Onness, onness, O-N, onness, now, existence. Yeah, I am, O-N, I, yes, I am onness, existence, yes. I don't know, doesn't matter, none of them are mine, anyway. So this I am, yes, this onness, O-N-N-E-S-S, yes, is there.
Not one.
No, not oneness, onness, O-N-N-E-S, not O-N-E, no. Because oneness is derived at seeing some things from two-ness, yeah. The sense of two-ness is what gives great meaning to oneness. I'm not a believer in oneness. I believe noneness, zero-ness.
What is the world? What is this world?
Everyone can have opinions of it. You have to admit it's fleeting to begin with. Yes. 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 It's constantly moving, truly. Yes. The earth, the sun, everything's moving. Yes. What would happen if it stopped? Yeah, everything is moving. It's appearing. It seems to appear. It's given meaning by us. It's not giving us much meaning. I've never been told by this planet it's the earth, ever. Yes. Yes. So I believe this is more of a state of dreaming than anything else.
So then who are you?
That's the question. Who I am, all I can know is I'm not. That's basically as far as my pay scale can go. Yeah. I find out what I'm not or who I'm not, and then there's a finding out. I don't even know if you could say it's, well, you would never say who I am, but what I am. Yes, it would be a difference. Yeah. But I don't believe you can find out that from what you're not. Yeah. Because all the while taking yourself to be what you're not, you are that. This is the conundrum of non-duality. Yes. That's why they're not great believers in searching or seeking, because without knowing it, you may be taking yourself to be the non-existent thing. And as Ramana says, if that's the case, your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing. How can they destroy it? Yes. Do you see?
It doesn't seem like it's enough to know what you're not.
Well, you are that already. So you'll find that out.
It's not a knowing conceptual.
No, because you'd have to be something else to know it conceptually.
But yet,
It's a sense. You have senses of it, not a mean visual, but it's a sense. Just like, almost like the hum of a generator. The I am is on, yeah. But what happens, how the I am has become misused in a way, is the mental state uses it to infer that there's Paul. So it says, I am Paul.
We know that you're not the body, you're not the mind.
Yeah, so that is the I am that I am. Yeah, but see, the I am that I am doesn't need to say that, it is. Yeah, so the whole point here, the interest in becoming what you are is completely altered when you realize you're that. You see, the value of understanding is to understand what you're not from what you are. It's crazy to try to understand what you are from actually what you're not. Yeah. And this is what non-duality is attempting to point out, and hopefully right now, is the mental state has you as this non-existent thing as the starting point of the race. And from that point, it gives meaning to every step of the race, realizing it's giving everything its understanding. It's not opened up for any new understanding. Yes. So with this, not noticing this being saddled this way, you're going to keep trying to realize or understand or study what you are. And it's only going to go to reinforce what you're not. Yeah.
And it seems like confusion around some of these words, like, that's one of those words that's.
Well, try not to get so much with the words, because.
I'm not saying it, I said, like, not, I don't mean no, like conceptual knowing, like knowledge, like acquiring information.
Yes. Yeah, there's a knowing, yes.
There's a knowing, there's a sense.
Yes.
Awareness.
Yes. That knowing is before knowing, though. Yes.
I just want to clarify because, I missed the first time here.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have different things, but yes, but that's the point, really.
What is the point?
That's the point.
What's the point?
We want to confuse you. Yeah.
That's how you break the Western mind.
Who knows? But we don't want, I don't see you as the target of the talk. You're the obscuring of it. So you're an obstacle. I don't want to get, I want to, yes, yeah. I don't want to get.
No, he means anybody, everybody.
Not,
It's not personal you, it's just you.
but every you feels personal. So it is the personal you.
She's been like.
She's getting
Yeah. I'm getting, it's trickling down, and it has to actually move a little to the side.
I like her answer better.
Yeah, I know you do. I know.
But you said two different things just now.
No, she probably just said it in a different way. She's not saying it's you I'm talking about. Of course, I'm talking about a you. A you.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. And that feeling that there's a you right near that a you, that is also a you. Yes. See that sense, because that sense of the knowing, in a way, listen, please. The sense that, that sense of knowing. No, I can't do it because this is not the point. The sense of knowing, the sense of the knowing, yes? That sense of the knowing has already been claimed by the mental activity. It's a diagnosis. Yes. The obviousness of how the mental state frames things. So the whole point here is the mental state arises and claims whatever happens.
Did you understand that language is inherently? Like there's no escaping that languaging.
Exactly. That's why we're not, the languaging we use to convey something. It's not what we're trying to convey. Exactly.
So you can't make that assumption. You're making assumptions.
I'm going to make tons of assumptions.
Yeah, but that doesn't feel good. It feels like projection.
Great. I just want you to get upset.
Maybe it works for you. It doesn't work.
Exactly. It doesn't work for you.
Because I don't feel like it's not resonant. It's not resonant.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes. Just stay around and see what happens. Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
What happened?
See if this lands anywhere.
I am confused.
Ex-
You achieved, you did achieve.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Seriously, because this is how we see it in these talks. You've gone to other people?
You.
Yes. All right.
Mostly on Zoom.
All right. So, and they don't confuse you?
Well, there's different reactions. It's not confusion. There's different reactions.
Yeah, but not usually confused.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
All right. So where we're sitting, right, in these talks, we're not looking at you to get the message to you. We're
I'm not
attempting,
here for a message. I'm not here for any message. That's not what
well, what are you here for?
I like the resonance of this.
Oh, great. But I
That's what-
thought you weren't getting it.
I would say I love resonance.
Oh, great then. All right, good. Then all's well. But I wanted it, because you haven't heard us, I want to explain certain things. Yeah. One of the points is to confuse the system for sure. Yeah. So I'm seeing you as, in a way, the obstacle that we're talking about. Not you personally, you.
Can you, I'm
I'm going to try to explain it simply. There you are, and you have certain qualities: intellect, the ability to grasp things, understand. Yes, these things, we all have it.
struggling to keep up with your velocity.
That's great, because we're not aiming the message to you we're trying to throw it over your head. Yeah. The message isn't built for you.
That's dualistic.
No, you're not seeing it. Just listen for a second.
It's not.
Well, then I'm just throwing whatever it is over to you. And I would say there's something that's reacting to that and feeling confused. And then there's the resonance.
Actually projected upon.
Hmm?
Projected upon, but.
Oh, because I'm talking at you, but it's not personal. Yeah, at all. It's not. I don't see you as, I'm not trying to explain to you resonance of that. I'm just trying to,
You said you are the obstacle to this message.
the you that you're not, the non-existent thing.
Yeah, I mean, I know you know that you're not your body and your mind, because I know that I'm not the body and the mind.
But
Yet-
the body and the mind doesn't know that.
Yeah, the body and the mind just hear you right.
Is it really? I think the body and the mind, the mental state's playing a big role, a very big role, because I believe when something happens, that which happens gets claimed very quickly. And there's a sense of being implied that you were the one that did it or was done to by it. And that you that it refers to isn't what you call you. It's an image. This is the whole message that we speak of. Yeah. We believe, and this is what I've seen, that the mental state, we had the first video we ever did was the sheep and the lion. Yeah. Simple story about young lion with and a mother lion, and then the mother lion gets killed and the young lion is orphaned, and the young lion's walking around the savannah, doesn't know what's happening. He falls upon a herd of sheep, moves towards the sheep. The sheep see it as a lion, get a little worried, but they realize quickly that it doesn't know it's a lion. Yeah. So now the young lion gets ingratiated into the herd, starts eating, chewing cud, listening to people worried about being the next year's sweater, doing whatever sheep do. It's not feeling that great, but it doesn't know any better. It's looking at sheep really wanting to eat them, but then the sheep thinks it wants to go out with them. They marry, they have kids, they look a little weird, but they rationalize it away. And now this young lion has been living like a sheep for like 8 years. Yeah. So one day, a big old lion comes down into the savannah, sees the young lion, doesn't see the young lion, sees the sheep, goes after the sheep, sees the young lion in the corner of its eye, and thinks it's joining the hunt. And then it quickly realizes the lion's running with the sheep. So he goes, wait a minute. He runs right over to the young lion. The young lion rolls over, goes, Mr. Lion, please don't eat me. I'm just a humble sheep. The old lion's very perplexed, just grabs the young lion, drags it to the water hole, puts their both heads over, and the young lion sees the reflection, wakes up. Yes? It's a lion. It doesn't matter if it was 10 years it was acting like it was a sheep or 5 minutes. The message hits it like that. I'm a lion. The old lion says roar, it roars. It doesn't have to take roaring lessons or anything like that. Yes? But then what happens after that? The old lion takes off. The young lion leaves the pond. And as the young lion's leaving the pond, the mental state kicks in from the sheep programming and goes, I had an incredible experience of being a lion. Yes? Framed as a sheep. You see that? So now the young lion walks away completely in forgetfulness of its nature, and it's now talking as if it's a sheep about having an incredible experience as a lion. To the point where it gets back to the herd and it talks to other sheep, and other sheep sort of agree with them. Yeah, I'd love to have an experience of being a lion. And so they open up a little meeting and they get old pictures of lions and they put them in nice frames. And now they're starting to worship lions, and they have roaring lessons, and they're trying to get their hair straightened, and they're acting like they're a lion. Yeah. Yeah. All the while being a lion, but they're living as if they're a sheep. Yes. This is the assumption of this message. The assumption of this message is that sense of knowing what you are has probably been claimed by what you're not. Yeah. And therefore, we're still setting in a preference or a dominance of being a sheep. Even though we think we know we're a lion, it's not translating as a great ease or comfort or a great sense of no seeking, let's say, or loss of interest in the topics that are concerned about becoming a lion, because you realize you're a lion by seeing you're not the sheep. Yeah. That's the whole thing. That's what moved us to share. We were not moved to share about oneness and everything and allness. We were moved to share about this movement of the mental state because I felt I lived under it. And I feel most of us have lived under it. I feel everything that's ever been revealed to us basically gets claimed. Yeah, to imply a you that was revealed to, and that you that it has now been the depository of all these realizations is not you. It's not me. Yeah, this is the point. This is why we like confusing the system, because I believe if you sit here and take a deep breath and chill out for a little while, the system regroups. When it's confused and getting overwhelmed, there's the lion right there, right freaking there. And when it stops trying to become a lion with the sheep arms and the sheep legs and realizes they're not my sheep legs and not my sheep's arms, then it loses interest in becoming a lion because it is a lion. Yeah. And it arrives there not by becoming a lion, but by realizing it's not a sheep. That's the whole point. That's the whole direction of our satsangs. Yes. The whole direction. It was not enough to hear about what I am. I had to hear about what I'm not, because I'm telling you, what I'm not had claimed to be the hearer of what I am. It's that simple. Yeah. It would have been nice if the lion would have got hit, I'm a lion, and then it would stay to be a lion. But something happens when it leaves the pond. The mental state kicks in and claims it. If you don't see that, you look from it. Seriously. Yeah. I'm not speaking to you. It's all here. I'm just, yeah. So that's the point of our satsang. That's it, is to point that out. So if it fits, it's like a shoe. If it fits, we wear it and see what happens. And maybe this message is so disarming because you're caught. You see it. you see the futility of using what you are to look for what you are. You see it. I mean, it finally is clear. Yeah. And yeah.
So it has a place. And I can't think of any specific quotes, but it's like these practices get you to the threshold of the tiger's mouth. and then you find, I mean, we all go through that. Not always, some of us. It has a place of like seeking.
Yeah, but see, Rama also said your head is already in the tiger's mouth.
I don't think most of the spiritual seekers realize how deep this rabbit hole goes, that they actually are not going to survive. Like, who they think they are is actually not going to make it. I don't think most spiritual seekers really understand the depth of it.
Well, if they don't, then that which thinks it's going to die is not even there. It's dead already, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's a process of dying.
No. Let's see if you see, we have a story that captures this, if you don't mind. Yeah. It's the idea of a snake, and it has skin. And the skin thinks it's the whole snake. Let's say that, yes? And it has an access to the snake brain, and it basically broadcasts.
There's like,
It's a snake.
Yeah.
There's a snake and skin. Yeah. And so every year in the life of a snake, there's a molting of the skin. Yes. The snake doesn't do it. It happens. Yes. Yeah. It doesn't set out to molt. It's the expression of the molting, let's say. And there's the skin. And now the skin has a crazy idea that it's the snake, the whole snake. And the skin has access to the megaphone in the snake's little head. And it basically broadcasts this story every day that I'm you. It talks as if it's you. The skin talks to the snake as if it's the whole snake. Yes. So now the molting is coming closer. The skin realizes it. And to the skin, it's a big threat. Yes. Because it's going to fall off and there's still going to be the snake. So its whole story that it's the snake is bogus, yes? So it doesn't like this idea of the molting. Now the snake's going to do great because it's going to have new skin, shinier scales, travel over the rocks better, attract female snakes. It's a big win-win for the snake. But from the skin, it's Armageddon because its whole story is I'm the snake. And obviously that's not true. So the skin is telling the snake to get a lot of moisturizer, stay out of the sun. Don't do this, don't do that, because it wants to prolong its little idea. Yes. So with this idea of one view, from the skin's point, it's Armageddon. Yes. From the snake's point of view, it's hallelujah. Yeah. You're going to hear the skin's point of view when the skin is falling off. Yeah. But you are the snake. That's the point. So the point is, if you believe, let's say that you did this stuff to get somewhere, and when you finally get to that somewhere, it tells you it's always been this way, then did you do anything to get somewhere? Exactly. So the great thing of gone to the other shore upon arriving at the other shore and having never left. Isn't that the point? You see, the timelessness is always going to usurp the idea of the time. So the time it took to arrive doesn't exist at the arrival point. Because the arrival point tells you on having never left. So basically, whatever you thought was happening never actually happened. That's the beauty of it, yeah? That's the beauty, that's the pristine beauty of what we are. Nothing's ever altered it, nothing.
Yet this is all happening.
Yes, and yet this is all happening. Yes.
There's no point. It's saying it's not happening. I mean, it's happening. It's here. It's here. I mean, it's
Well,
happening.
it's
It's a dream. You could say
yes,
use it.
yes. So you can say it's happening if it's framed as a dream. If you're saying it's happening and it's really happening, I don't believe that. No, but I believe it's happening. Yes.
And it's a miracle, really. It's a miracle.
Well, I think we're miracles. I mean, we make shit out of nothing. That's a miracle.
This is happening. Well, this is happening. This tree is happening. It's a miracle. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen. How is
Well,
it impossible?
Well, yeah, I think that's an observation. It's a miracle. Yeah. But it's like,
That's the awe, I mean, that feels like the awe of the mystery, of this, wherever this is.
yeah, the aura is awesome. Yeah. No, it is.
It is.
It's nice if you can, it's nice that if you could be that which initiates the aura and that which enjoys the aura, instead of having the experience of AWE so fleeting because you're addicted to time, or you're being moved by time all day, and you keep calling yourself that which is moved by time. So time has a huge influence on you if you believe it does. If you see you're not of time, as Jesus put out, we're in this world, but we're not of this world, it allows you to sort of rest in that aura, not infrequently visit it. Yeah. Yeah. And to see that which is underlying the aura is way past aura in a way. Aura is like a beautiful missile out of it, but it can't capture that. Yeah. Yeah. It allows seeing the mental head is an aspect of what we are. Yeah. Looking from the mental head triggers.
Yeah, I don't think, does the mind really apprehend awe? I don't think the mind, I think awe is beyond the mind.
Well, it matters what mind you're talking about. Big M mind, it's not beyond that.
I mean, the mind sees the tree and the leaves and the bark and
The brain does, yeah.
the rain, but like, does the mind really understand, or does the mind understand it's awe? feel like
I don't think it has to understand or to experience or.
I don't think it's a mental, I don't think it's a
No, I think it's well, it's freely given. If you weren't in a flipped out situation when you were a kid, you were sort of in awe quite often.
It's not a concept. The mind is a concept.
I don't, well, we have different ideas of mind. I think the mental states are conceptual. I don't believe there's a relative mind. I believe there's just a big M mind, and then there's mental activities. And so a mental activity is something being driven to understand things by knowing them in its own systematic way, which is conceptual. So it has reached its promised land if it thinks it knows something without any sense feltness around it.
If anything, the mind comes in after awe and says, "Oh, I had that."
Well, exactly. That's what we're pointing out right
That's
there.
me. I did that.
Exactly. That's what we're pointing out right now. That's the whole point, is to catch that. Yeah. Because the same thing with people, in my own experience, with what you would call an epiphany, they usually ended when the thoughts came up of I'm having an epiphany. So as soon as the sense of you shows up, sort of like there's a great party, but when you get there, it sucks. Yes. That's what we're talking about, because that sense of being the doer, the feeler, the thinker, the taster, the toucher is very, very fast.
You're a funny guy.
Yes.
My metaphor was the ballerina, the ballerina, and then the applause, and then the clown comes on the stage and takes the bow. And like, I did that.
Yes.
That was the metaphor that came to my mind. You had a different one. Maybe we're getting to the same place.
Well, yes, the place is before it.
Yeah.
Before that. And the place is before it, shorn of any identification as that which said it was the doer.
That's the clown jumping on stage.
Exactly.
Explaining-
Not
explaining
not
the
being
plot.
identified as the clown and not believing you are the producer or the doing of that clowning. Yeah. Like there's no volition involved. In other words, there isn't a you that's doing the you. Yeah. This is the point. You don't see, you have to see the policeman and the thief and the policeman, because it's a two-legged, it's a dualistic expression. So there's a sense of you, and then there's a sense, there's a seeing of that, and that seeing of it gets claimed, and now that's another you. So now the one you is sort of like the thief that's been arrested by the policeman, all brought about by awareness, truly, but there's been a claiming of what awareness brought about and given these names, yes? So now you're the seer while there was seeing going on, or is seeing going on. I don't believe many people see this, I don't. And I don't believe they see it in non-duality, I don't believe it's emphasized enough. I believe people leave satsang thinking they were the hero of the satsang. The same feeling of being the hero of the sports show in the morning was the same hero of the satsang. This is what I feel is missing in most satsangs. I haven't been to any, maybe they've caught up on it, but since 2000. But this is the whole message that we're into, because if you don't see that mental claiming, you're looking for it. Yeah. Hmm?
I didn't invent it. I mean, I definitely heard it.
Yes, but the emphasis, because when it's not something you know, it's something you hear about, and then it's applied. You recognize it in your own activity.
There's a clear seeing that's undeniable.
Yes, there is a clear seeing of that that's undeniable, but there's not a, you don't see the clear seeing.
You know, the eyes can't see the eyes.
Yes, exactly. You are that. So this is the whole point. The whole point is to see what can be seen instead of looking for what can't be.
No, but what I meant the clear seeing was seeing the clown jump on stage, claiming the ovation.
Yes.
There's clear seeing of that.
Well, it's not clear. They're seeing, but the thing is, what makes it unclear is that will be claimed. The mental state will claim the seeing of the clown.
It feels like revelatory. It feels like more on the part of the revelation.
Yes, but
there's no, because there is no center. There's no center to it.
yes, but all we're attempting to put out is, as you go through time, this thing doesn't stop when you think it's going to stop. It's mechanical. The claiming of being the clown is mechanical. You don't stop doing that. Yeah, you see it. Yes, yes. Exactly. Well, then great. Then we've reached consensus. Hallelujah. Yeah. Seriously. That's the whole point. If you are what you're looking for, I mean, that's it, really.
But if they're seeing, then there's non-identification. The clown or the ballerina or the audience. There's a different.
That's not so important. It's not an identification as the seer, the clown, the seer of the clown, the audience, and stuff like that. Yeah. See, there'll still be an identification when you see that you're not the clown and this and this and this and that. There's still a claiming that, because wherever the seeing seems to start and end, the mental state in time will gravitate and claim it.
It feels like just the mechanics of the mind just playing out.
Exactly.
But
Right.
not in the mechanics.
Well, yes, exactly.
Wants the mechanics.
Yes, you've never been in the mechanics. That's the beauty of it.
I've spent most of my life in the mechanics.
No, you haven't. That's what you're not, was spent most of its life in the mechanics.
That was the dream. But that was real when I was in it. When you're caught in the machine, you're.
Well, it felt real. It wasn't real because it was only because reality was in it. It felt real. You just said it. Yeah. You are reality. So when you felt you were in it, it felt real because you're reality. Yeah, you give everything all the meaning it has. Yes.
But when you're caught, it's very different.
Exactly. Well, there's not a you caught, but when there's that, yes, exactly, it is. But there's always that watching. That which gets caught isn't that which is watching. Yeah. What with that which is watching doesn't get caught. There's a mental state saying something got caught, and we take ourselves to be that something that says it's been caught. Then, of course, the natural desire would wanting to be uncaught, right? And so the wheel gets turned. So now you're trying to get out of what you're not in, or trying to get into what you're not out of. The head, not you. You're just that space. But here, all that activity can draw attention and interest, which is going to lighten that part of the Zoom and sort of dim the other parts of the Zoom. Yes, even though there's undifferentiated light, the experience is going to be some is lighter, some is darker. And that's based on attention and interest. And this whole movement is a loss of interest and intention in that which is claiming the being the seer and the hearer, the feeler, the taster, the toucher. And just recognizing clearly there's seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. Yeah, beautiful.
It's one of those words, seeing, phenomenal seeing, and then sort of.
Well, whatever you want to call it. Let's call it awareness. Let's call awareness or consciousness going through 5 gates. Yeah, let's see that. So let's say consciousness goes through the gate of vision. Yes, so they're seeing. What does the mental state do? It claims it to imply that there's a seer. Yes. Yes. How fast is that process? What? Yeah. So is there any process you could do that could out-process that? There you go. That's the point. That's the futility of it all. Yeah. It's a futility of it where. Yeah, now. That's the point you want it to be obvious in. Yes. That's the beauty of it. It's like I noticed it when you would be at a meditation center and your ass would be going down to the cushion and the head already had you as the meditator. This is what happens. Yeah. And this is what Ramana was implying happens. And then if that's the case, which obviously he was assuming most of the time it is, your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing, the idea of being the meditator through the act of meditating. It would be nice to have an understanding of that.
Yeah, no, I meditated for a long time. I'm so glad I needed to go through that process.
Yes, because you had a failure for you finally. That's how it's valued. Oh, good. Yes.
I needed to calm my nervous system.
Yes, it's great for that.
And it was amazing.
Blood pressure too.
It was
Yes.
amazing. And I'm so
great. Well, that's the target. Yes, I see it works here for sure. Yeah, I think everything that's deemed a spiritual practice should have a little warning on it, like a cigarette box, which is this could be hazardous to your inherent health. Yeah, because if the head is claiming everything that you're doing or seemingly doing as you being the doer of it, isn't that the bonding mechanism we're trying to be released from through all the doing? Yeah, I don't think you can do it through doing. I don't. So there you go. I think I'm going to go to these folks, see if they have any questions. And yeah, and then we'll have some coffee here today. Yeah, I have.
And food.
And food. Mia brought us lots of incredible coffee, so you'll be able to sample
And
some.
incredible food.
But first, we'll get. Need a bathroom? Yes. Can you better walk her in? We have a wolf.
We have a whole thing now. Oh, I love this.
Yeah. Good luck. She loves you too. All right. Who's running the show here, Mike? Could you hear any other questions? No? Oh, whatever. I
Mike's
think
Mike's gone. He left.
Oh,
He's-
Mike left. Oh, who's running the show?
He's like walking around or something. I'm not sure.
Is this, who's running it? David Bitterman? Who? All right, well, if you have any questions, I can see the hands now. Mike finally got it. Woo! I was thinking he was going to be the last letter of the alphabet, Zerbo. Anyone have any questions? Did you hear everything?
Yeah, I heard
Oh,
everything.
good. Oh, good. I didn't sense my hip the whole time, so hallelujah. That's pretty good. I transcended my physical conditions. Well, I'm ready to do some, wow. Anyone, no one have anything to say?
It looks like
Up
Deborah
here.
has.
We have Deborah. How you doing, Deborah?
I'm doing good, thank you. I enjoy this back and forth sometimes. It's really good. I did hear parts of what she was saying, but yeah, that thing, we had a little conversation going in the comments, and just today I found out that the word vanity in Hebrew means emptiness or vapor or Maya sort of. So that really kind of opened up a whole, like coming from the platform of wholeness and seeing the whole, just the play that's going on all the time is just a play, basically. Kind of.
Yeah. Yes. It's
But
like,
yeah,
we just
I
need
was
the,
raised. Sorry, go
Hmm?
ahead.
we need the masks, the two.
Yeah. Right. Characters.
The two characters are given meaning by the hidden one character.
Right.
I, the true
Yeah.
face, can be two-faced.
Yeah. Well,
all
I
A beautiful day here. It's worked. I haven't felt my hip, so I think I'm gonna have her come back tomorrow and keep me
Cool.
going. That's good.
That's
Yes, we're gonna have you take. We have an extra room. I need you around for the day.
Did I miss something?
No, I need you around. I haven't felt the hip for the whole talk with you and I. I haven't felt the hip. So you've been a very good painkiller. Fantastic. I've been looking for one. Yes, not addictive. That's good. All right. Anyone we have a Zoom going too. So anyone have any questions? We lost the one who was running the Zoom. He ran out of the room. That's good. Everyone, Teresa and Miles, the third one. The third one's the charm. Yeah. Very nice to see you too. Yeah. We got Beth H. How are you, Beth?
Yeah, really pleased to be here.
Oh, good. We're happy to see you.
Had a bit of having a struggle really with
Yeah.
my identifying as my thoughts. I'm no good at all this stuff, or I just feel a hypocrite.
Well, you're before that, thank God, hon. Remember the weird thing is you don't want to feel like a fraud. You don't want to be a fraud, then you feel like one all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you finally get okay being a hypocrite, it won't be so hypocritical.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. It's the desire of not wanting to be something makes us more of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're all
Richard
fucked
has his hand up,
We're
Paul.
all Oh, we have a new host. It's Mickey. All right, Mickey, what are you saying?
No, Richard has his hand up.
Oh, shit. How are you?
Oh, hey, Paul. I'm glad to hear your hips not
Eh?
bothering you so much.
Eh?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. I was triggered by the idea of onness, O-N, onness, because that's noticeable. It's and I guess it's sort of the opposite of offness, which is must be like sleep or death. Is that?
Well, the onness we were speaking of doesn't have the opposite of offness. It was just another way. Don't you feel like you're on all the time?
Yeah, that's that exactly. If
Yeah,
I
doesn't feel like
interrogate
any
myself, I'm
started it.
definitely on. But at night, I'm not.
Well, there's
Or
no one to tell you, no one to say that. You're on at night, eh?
if I'm noticing, I am. Yeah. If I'm not,
But that onness it doesn't need to be noticed though. Yeah. I mean, what brought you to the morning?
I don't know.
Yes, it's that onness, the onness without an opposite. So you're on, and then the thing is, the one that could notice that wasn't there in the old deep sleeperoo. Ramana would always talk about that quite a lot. It's the closest thing to anything is the deep sleep, because there's no you there as the observer or as the noticer.
The noticer, yeah.
There's still the onness, which is what we are inherently, obviously, because something that we call us can stop and be absent, yet things continue. You know, it's funny, Richard, in addiction, I had some experiences a lot called blackouts. Yeah. Now, blackouts are an interesting thing. They can last for an hour. They can last for 3 days. I knew people who traveled in blackouts. They would wake up somewhere and they'd have to look out the window to see what the weather looked like, to figure out, and they had flown from California to Nebraska, having no memory of it. Yeah. And you would think that if you weren't there, nothing must have happened. But there was something representing you that bought the ticket, got on the flight, talked to the wife. The wife didn't know it wasn't you. The person who sold you the ticket didn't know it wasn't you, because there was a representation of you. Yeah, but whatever you want to call it. And yet the one that seemed to represent you had sort of gotten overtaken by incredible alcoholic toxicity or drug. You hit a point where the brain that had that one model, let's say Paul A11, and then the model collapsed and Paul A12 was put into service. And funny thing is, Paul A12 did better than Paul A11 ever did, because I would get arrested quite a lot as Paul A11. Paul A12, I'd seem to survive pretty well. So Paul A12 would be doing things, going out, sleeping with the wife and shit. No one was the wiser. And then suddenly Paul A11 comes back, and the only way to verify that it is the one and only Paul, it has to forget Paul A12, obviously, or have seemingly you forget A12. So now you have a story. I was blacked out for 14 hours, as if you shut down. No, you were going out, ordering drinks.
Is it always Paul A12 that was running the show, or is there a Z?
Oh yeah, there could be thousands of them,
that comes-
because there isn't anyone.
Right.
See, the whole story of it is it's a one. That's its primary reference. I'm you, and it's a you, And AU can be replaced by another AU
Right.
if the system gets too toxic or loaded. Yeah, the old just can't take it and it gets replaced. Almost like, you know, someone broke this vase and then put another vase there and it looks just like the table looked like before. So there's only way that could happen if there is no Paul. Yeah. The only way there could be many Pauls is that there's no Pauls. If there was one Paul, there would be one Paul. Yeah. Because there isn't one Paul, there can be many Pauls. Yeah. So this onness isn't based on observation. It's before. Yeah. And it's not in a dualistic opposite. There's onness here and offness, but this is an onness that has no offness. Yeah. There's no switch, and there was no beginning when it became on, and it's going to end and become not on. Yeah. It just seems to be indeterminable and just goes on and on and on. Yeah. And then when seemingly I feel you pass away, there won't be any idea of being an observer who observed that it's still on or something happened. Yeah.
So,
You'll be what's off.
so when you have a blackout like that, so is the mental state just replacing AU
Yeah.
with another?
That's how I felt.
Hey.
Seriously. Yeah. I felt that because I would be up 18 hours buying shit, going
Yeah, yeah.
places, putting on clothes. And when you came back, when the old one took place, it was like parachuting behind enemy lines. It would just reconnoiter the system and then just try to figure out if anyone knew you were missing and then jump into the conversation. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, by the way, I really, yeah. And then just get into the flow.
No, that's an interesting example. I'll have to think about that because I'm familiar.
Yeah, so
I'd wake up and I'd have to figure out
this
which.
onness would be that they'd call it thisness or whatever. I just like the word onness. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And you know, the words aren't the one thing we know about Zen Bitslap. We don't have, the words aren't specific for us. That's why I don't like writing books. Yeah, because then you got to really put down what you mean. We just use the words as, we use the words as a vehicle of a sense something. Yes. Yeah. That's what hopefully gets conveyed through the confusingness and everything is something else. Yes. I don't believe it has to be matched with clarity to get through. I think it's actually better the other way. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. It's great when you can suspend the idea that you got the message for as long as possible. And then you're just the hearing of the message, which works. Yeah. Yeah. And obviously what really hears the message is the message. It's the hearing of the message is the message. Yes. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Richard. Nice to see you.
Good to see you, Paul. Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else?
It's on. It's on.
It's on.
It's on.
It's definitely
I
on.
think that's, hey, I think we're gonna, what time is it now?
Mike is gone. He made you host.
Oh, he made me
Because-
host.
Yeah, because he's gone. So you're the captain of the ship.
I can't take that responsibility.
Yeah, you are.
I don't know how to navigate the Zoom.
Just ask if there's
Mickey took over.
You can leave the room.
Oh, Mickey, is there anyone else? If not, we're gonna end the day, I think.
No, I don't see any more hands.
feel the
Paul.
boat
Thank
sinking.
you.
We gotta get out of here. All right. Okay, Mike, thank you for abandoning us. We appreciate it. Francisco, nice to meet you. Hope you come back. Mike C, always a pleasure. Yeah. Sherry, nice to see you there. Stuart,
Thanks, Paul.
oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Stuart, as always, Ben's Clark. Oh, Ben, yeah, he's down in his usual position, horizontal. Paul H. It's like looking in a mirror. There's a Paul H. You know, I haven't thought about Paul H this whole day, as seen as Paul H. Johannes, nice to see you. Tyler, I'm happy. I was wondering how to get in touch with you. I'm happy you decided not to come live because we're not at the church. Yeah.
I'm in Mendocino right now.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, we're closer to you. We're at our house anyway.
Oh, where are you?
We live in Novato.
Okay. I'll email you my phone number sometime. All right.
Please, yes, yeah. Thanks. We got Bill C, Bill Churchman, Tommy, Stefan on having never left. He's my evidence, yes. Deborah, Tariq from Dover, New Jersey. Jack P. Jack, have you been here before?
Yeah, a few months ago, Paul, and I've been watching your videos posted to YouTube afterwards.
Oh, great, Jack. Nice to see you.
Likewise, Paul, thank you.
You're welcome. Teresa and Miles, there they are. Yes. We got Beth. Eh? We lost you there a second. Oh, never mind, we lost them. Beth, nice to see you, honey.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good
Tim
luck.
R, Alan Olson, Mickey. Thank you, Mickey, for taking over like you never were taking over. Chris.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, guys. Jimmy, William, David B, Susan, Amy, Kathleen, Mark. Everyone, thank you. Thanks for coming along for the ride. See you guys.
Thanks, Paul.
See ya. Bye-bye.
See you later, everyone.